Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. My name is Saimah and welcome to Saimah's Experience. Now we only have a few weeks left to round out the year, and in this video I'm going to go over my top 3 tips that you should begin implementing if you're an independent contractor like myself, a gig worker, or if you're involved in any sort of marketplace such as Turo, Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, just like I am. There are some really important steps that we have to take so we are prepped for our financial obligations and taxes and so on and so forth. So the number one thing that you should be working on right now is putting money aside for your 2021 taxes. Really important. Uncle Sam is going to come knocking before you know it, and you definitely want to make sure that you have money set aside to take care of that expense. Oftentimes, what people don't realize is that taxes tend to be your single greatest expense. So you want to make sure that you are taking all the steps to make sure that you are taking advantage of all the deductions that are at your disposal and that you are maximizing any resources available to you as an independent contractor. So when it comes to tax time, that you are in a nice situation. So what do I mean by that? We have a couple weeks left in the year, and what you really want to do is make sure that you are expensing out any potential stuff before the year ends. So if you're a Turo host, maybe you have some maintenance cost, some things that you need to do for your cars that could result as a tax deduction for the upcoming tax season. So one of the best things that I can advise is to get with your tax professional, whether that's your accountant or your CPA, and kind of talk to them. The nice thing about this time of year is that you more or less know how you're going to end out the year in terms of what your total revenue income is going to be, right? You have a pretty good general idea. So you want to talk to your tax professional, let them know, hey, this is what I've done. This is what I'm projecting my total income is going to be for 2021. And here's what my expenses look like in terms of percentage to that income. What other things should I be implementing before the year ends? CPAs and tax professionals are seriously amazing at guiding you through how to operate your business so that it is extremely tax efficient. Now, of course, I am not a tax professional. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a financial advisor, but this is just purely what I've learned from my own experience. And here's a couple of other reasons why this is so important and why you should set that money aside for taxes. Now, what a lot of people don't realize when they are newly involved in marketplaces is that there is something called a self-employment tax. And most people tend to fall into that category of having to pay self-employment taxes. A self-employment tax is roughly about 15.3%, and it is usually paid out on a quarterly basis. Now, if you don't make those quarterly payments, you could end up paying hefty penalty fees to the IRS, and you don't want to end up in that situation. So this is why it's so important to be proactive and get with your accountant so that you can get all of that sorted out and make those payments on time. A self-employment tax basically goes towards Social Security and I believe Medicare it is. So, for people who are W-2 or who have regular 9-to-5 jobs, those taxes get withheld automatically through their employer. But for people who are self-employed, this is our way of contributing to those categories. So it's really important. Now, the number 2 thing that you should be really doing, and it's what I'm doing, is setting aside reserve funds. This is literally the best time of year to build your savings account. Now, if you're involved in Turo like I am, or Airbnb, or even Uber, it's the holiday season, right? So we typically tend to see a pretty significant spike in business, which means we will be profiting quite nicely throughout the next couple months, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, a lot of movement, a lot of tourism, and a lot of people spending their money on our businesses, which is fantastic. But typically when a year ends and we go into the new year, we do see a little bit of a slump in business. So you want to make sure that you really build out your savings net so that if business slows down, you are covered and you're in a comfortable position. One thing that I always tell my fellow Turo hosts is that you want to have at a bare minimum at least 3 months of runway in your savings account. But honestly, the rule of thumb should be at least 6 months to a year. That is the most risk-free way to be set up. I personally do 6 months to a year, and it really keeps you quite comfortable in the event that you need to get maintenance done in your cars, or business really slows down. So many things can happen in the business world and in these gig economies that you want to be prepared, and you don't want to take the hit should those slowdowns happen. So you want to be really proactive, and don't spend all the money you make. Definitely set aside a percentage of it so that you can build that reserve for yourself and be in a very comfy position as we roll into the new year should things slow down. So really, really important. Remember, rule of thumb is at least 3 to 6 months, bare minimum. And honestly, if you can't do at least 3 to 6 months, I would highly advise, if you're thinking about getting into Turo, be cautious, because you definitely need at least that much runway to keep yourself in a safe position. Now, the number 3 thing is, if you are self-employed like I am, we don't have the luxury of having something like a 401k retirement account from our employers, because we don't have employers, right? So you always want to think about your future and the long term and how you want to set yourself up as an individual so that all the work that you're putting in now pays off later on, and you can really live very comfortably off of everything that you have saved. And of course, you want your money to earn more money so that you can use it at the time that retirement comes. Now, there are a couple of things that are available to our disposal that I think you should definitely implement. And from my personal experience, it has been a great thing to really set myself up for retirement. Now, once again, I am not a financial advisor, but these are just things that I've seen from my own personal experience, and you definitely want to either consult with your financial advisor or your tax professional. Now, there are some great retirement vehicles available to us. Things like a traditional IRA account or a Roth IRA account is the first thing that I would recommend. Now, all of these retirement accounts, they do, of course, have their pros and cons, so you want to do your research and see which one makes the most sense for you. But the most important thing as a self-employed person that you need to watch out for is, what are the income limitations when you try to set up one of these accounts? So, for example, if you are going to set up a Roth IRA as an unmarried individual, then that means that you cannot earn more than $140,000 per year. If you earn more than that, then that does not qualify you to contribute to a Roth IRA. Now, also on retirement financial vehicles like a Roth IRA, your max contribution per year is $6,000, which is not huge, but still it is working. That is still your money working for you for your future. Now, one investment vehicle that I recently came across, which I absolutely love, is something called a SEP IRA. If you find yourself being in the higher income thresholds and you are self-employed, so meaning you have a business and you're technically the only employee under your business, then this is fantastic, because you can actually contribute a whole lot more to SEP IRA accounts. And again, it's something that you really want to research. But I believe last I checked, as of 2021, and the threshold is going to move up in 2022, you can contribute almost $60,000 per year into a SEP IRA, and then that actually results as a tax deduction as well. So it's an incredibly smart way to utilize your money, have it work for you in the future, and really just benefit you. So this is, again, why it is so important that you really thoroughly research what your options are and how to best utilize the money that you work so hard for day in and day out on these wonderful gig platforms that we're all a part of. So it's really important. Now, for those of you that are first-time Turo hosts, one of the things that you should anticipate is, typically I see it happen in about February and March of the new year, you will get something called a 1099 sent to your inbox from Turo. So that is essentially the earnings breakdown for what you did in the previous year, and that's what gets reported to the IRS. So you simply just hand that over to your tax professional, and then they will work through you on your taxes. Now, for those of you who are looking to understand taxes for the Turo business much better and in depth, I have a fantastic interview that I did actually with a CPA discussing the Turo business and how to properly set yourself up as an entity and for taxes under my course at powerhost.club. So you guys can definitely check that out. And I think that you will find it super informative. So on that note, you guys, prep yourselves, extremely important. Make your money work for you. And remember that taxes tend to be your single greatest expense. So you really want to take the time to research and understand what options are available to you and really push your tax professionals to help you figure out what those options are so you utilize your money incredibly wisely and have it work for you in the future as well. So this is what I personally have myself busy in these days, because as a Turo host, I want to make sure that I'm not getting stuck with a huge tax bill at the end of the year, and I want to make all the right moves. So it's really worth it to put in a bit of time to research this stuff. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. I am going to put some helpful links down in the description below. You guys can read about SEP IRAs, Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, and kind of get a feel for what might be the best fit for you so that you can then take that over to your tax professional. And if you're thinking about getting started on the Turo platform, I also offer a 10-minute free guide on my website at powerhost.club. I look forward to talking to you guys, and I would love to know, as Turo hosts, Airbnb hosts, Uber Lyft drivers, what are you guys doing to prep for the new year? So I'll catch you guys in the comment section below. Thanks again for tuning in, and if you like this video, make sure that you hit that like button. Take care, guys.